Hey, what's up, comic fam on YouTube? It's your homie Big Daddy Gibbs from BDG Comics, and I want to come to you today to kind of apologize for not being around and not producing any videos for you to watch. Hopefully you haven't noticed, which you probably haven't because I have a pretty small subscriber count, but that's fine. Understandable. I'm a new YouTuber, new comic book reader, and I haven't been consistent because, well, frankly, recently I've been working on another project which kind of goes hand in hand with the YouTube thing, for me at least, and hopefully once it gets completely up and running and comfortable and I get used to it, it's actually going to help me make YouTube videos and make it a little bit easier for me. So I kind of want to talk to you at least today on this video about the week in general of New Comic Book Day, March 30th, 2022, and maybe a little bit about March as a whole. I think that it was a really strong week for comic books. There wasn't a whole lot of books that really caught my interest, at least, but the ones that did were pretty fantastic. There was 5 in particular that from this week that just like they hit hard. And I really appreciated that. It made my top 5 really, really easy to pick. Other than that, I have a couple of other books that I'm going to mention. Actually, I'm going to go through all books that I got this week. I think I got 11 issues, 11 comic books from this last week. And I'm going to go through all of them. The last 5 will be my top 5, and they'll be in order. But before that, they won't be in order. So I'll mention it when I get to them. So first off, I'm going to start off with my disappointment of the week. Now, this wasn't a bad comic book. In fact, I actually enjoyed it because I enjoyed all of my books from this week that I actually bought. I read some digitally that I didn't really enjoy, which I'm glad I didn't buy them and I read them digitally. So first off, we have my disappointment, Ghost Rider #2. Now, like I said, this wasn't a bad book. I really actually enjoy their attempt to make like this horror story, a Marvel horror story. It's kind of cool. The cover's beautiful. The art throughout the whole book is actually gorgeous, which makes sense. It's a publicated book, right? But unfortunately, not all books are beautiful. Anyways, the story is pretty good. They did some really cool things here, which you would expect out of a horror book, but not necessarily out of a Marvel book. So I do appreciate their attempt here at delving into the world of horror. So basically what we have is Johnny Blaze. He's in the motorcycle accident that they mentioned. I think they mentioned it in the first episode where he got the scar on his head. But they kind of show the motorcycle accident, and then they show him pushing his wrecked bike down the highway. So clearly he survived, which was a kind of incredible, a testament to his superhuman abilities, I guess. It's basically miraculous that he survived, right, as a human. So he's pushing his bike down the road, and he comes to this hotel, and he needed a place to stay, so he goes to the hotel. He needed a place to stay because in the previous issue, he, lost his family, lost his house, all that stuff, because he basically broke through and realized he was living in the Matrix, which I'm not sure if this issue thing takes place in that alternate dimension Matrix thing and it's all in his head. I don't understand exactly, but yeah, it's still cool. So he gets to this hotel and he goes down to the manager and basically asks the manager for a job or for odd jobs that basically, I don't know if he wants to get money or if he just wants to try to stay at the hotel for free. But the manager agrees and I guess gives him some tasks to do. You see panels of Johnny Blaze sweeping and Johnny Blaze cleaning and fixing, and woo, that's like the kind of laid back part of the book, I guess. The casual stuff, he's not eating pizza at a table like some other books, but he's doing his daily chores, I guess, to earn his keep. But eventually he catches wind that the manager is some super creepy guy, and he has been spying on all of his customers that come to stay at the hotel, and some of them he sacrifices to a demon, which is pretty crazy. He like lures them into a tunnel and sacrifices them in pretty brutal and gruesome fashion. And then in this one, towards the end of it, Ghost Rider makes his appearance, and yeah, he kills the demon, right? He saves well, I don't know if he saved the hotel, but he definitely hopefully stopped the sacrifices from happening anymore. So all in all, it was good and it was cool. It was good to see Marvel doing something a little different, delving into this horror genre. I'm just not a big fan of Marvel doing that, I guess, specifically. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just kind of like watered down, I should say. Like they just don't go there in most cases. Now there are a couple like dark, recent dark stories. Like I feel like the Black Widow, the first volume of that, has some like dark stuff that they kind of ventured into, like heart-wrenching dark, not necessarily like overly edgy dark, which that's what they kind of went with here too. It's not overly edgy, but it's just kind of like Demon Slayer Ghost Rider. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was just, I expected more out of it, I guess. But I also am not a huge fan of horror comics, whereas I'm a huge fan of superhero comics. I like my superheroes and my supervillains duking it out and beating the hell out of each other. That's what I enjoy about comics. So next up, I have another book who's like, it was neck and neck on which one I was going to pick for my disappointment. And that is Hulk number 5. And I got this sweet Carnage Forever variant cover. I really like this cover. It's got like that off-white, yellowish beige kind of background. It makes I think it makes it really pop. The green and red of the Hulk, the Carnage Hulk. I think it really pops. So anyways, Hulk number 5. It was a good book. I am not mad about it. I wasn't upset about the quality or anything like that. Again, Ryan Otley's artwork is absolutely gorgeous. I think he struggles a little bit at drawing people's faces, but his monsters and beasts and just like the sci-fi fantastical stuff, he knocks it out of the park. Donny Cates, go somewhere with this book, please. I like your ideas. I just don't know if I like your pacing and plot progression. I feel like you're just kind of meandering around, waiting for this to be over. That's how I feel. Go somewhere with it, please. Please. I really like the premise, the spaceship Hulk, the Smashtronaut, I think is just such a dope concept. And yeah, Hulk number 5. It was fine. Just kind of a letdown. I just want them to go somewhere with it. All right, next up, I got something new for me. Now, a lot of you, I know this kind of Elseworlds tale is beloved, and you really like this. I guess alternate universe. But for me, it's my introduction into this world, and that is Batman Beyond the White Knight. So this is my first Batman Beyond book that I've ever read. And in general, I think it was pretty cool. I don't have too much to say about it, I guess, because I haven't read the previous stuff. I was a little bit lost, but they made it honestly pretty easy to kind of catch up. The relationships they built here and the character development was really good in the book, and the artwork I felt like was a little rushed, if I'm honest. It wasn't bad. I just felt like it needed maybe more inking work or something. I don't know what it was exactly, but it did bug me a little bit. Like, I felt like they really didn't take their time. It was either the coloring, maybe it was the coloring. I don't know, something was missing on the art. Now the penciling work and like the actual drawings and stuff like that were fantastic. The backgrounds, everything, like it was really nice. It was just, I don't know what it was. The shading, the coloring, something doesn't do it for me, and I just can't pinpoint what that is. But it was a cool story. I actually think that I like more of the, like, all the Robins and stuff like that. So I kind of wish that I had gotten into comics a little bit earlier, because I'm kind of curious to see, like, I mean, there's so many different Robins, and if you don't read comics, you don't know that, because he doesn't have enough representation. The Robin or Nightwing characters, they don't have enough representation on like film and stuff like that. So unless you read comics, you don't really grasp how many different Robins there are. But I guess the one in this one is the first Robin, and the relationship he has with Bruce, like most of the other Robins, is not a great relationship, which is so weird to me, but interesting nonetheless. But I guess it's Red Hood, right? Is like the original Robin, and I don't know. I'm gonna keep pulling it. I think it's only like three issues, I think is what they're doing. So I'll check it out for sure. Let's see where it goes. Hopefully it picks up for me. I know some people were saying this is probably what they've read. This is probably the worst of the, I think there's 3 different White Knight series. They're saying that this is so far the worst one, but not by a lot. So that's, I guess, okay, considering how much people say they really like the White Knight stuff. I don't know, maybe I'll go back after this series is done. If I really enjoy it, I'll go back and check out the other White Knight stuff. All right, next was, to me, the worst book out of the ones that I bought this week. And I'm dropping the series after this book, and that was Iron Fist #2. I really did actually enjoy the first issue, but at the same time, this was kind of like my hot seat book, where if they didn't really pull me in on this one, I was probably going to drop it. It was not a bad book. It's just not for me. I'm not into like the Eastern lore mythology type stuff. And I feel like they just go a little bit too far in that for me, which it's just not for me. It's for some people for sure, and it was not a bad book. So would I recommend it? It depends on if you like the Eastern mythology kind of stuff. It wasn't bad, just not for me. That's pretty much it. I did like that one character. I can't remember what his name was. It was like the main guy of this group of like thugs or gangsters or whatever, punk kids. The main guy, the leader of that group that wanted to be the Iron Fist and was mad that I think it's Lin Lai. I think that's how you pronounce it, Lin Lee or Lin Lai. He was upset that he kind of got the Iron Fist power without even really deserving it. That character I think was cool and has legs, and you know, maybe he could go somewhere. Maybe he could be a future villain or just a rival or something. Maybe even like an anti-hero. That would be pretty cool. I might read the digital version of issue #3 just to kind of keep up with it and see where it goes, but it's just not for me. I'm dropping it. All right, and my next book, which I really did enjoy, and I'm glad I enjoyed it, because this one I didn't enjoy the last issue of so much. Loved the first issue, but that's Silver Surfer Rebirth. Loved the first issue. Absolutely loved it. Second issue just did not do it for me at all. Like it was one of my worst books of the week. Of when did it come out? I think it was the beginning of March. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I don't know why. I know a lot of people said that they really enjoyed it. The first, I guess you get the first initial team up of Silver Surfer and Thanos. But in this one, they actually start doing stuff together and working together. I really enjoyed it. It was like probably my number 6 or 7 book. It was right on the edge, but ultimately got beat out. It just doesn't do anything new, I guess. And that's why, which There's nothing wrong with, you know, doing a classic kind of thing like a X-Men Legends did, but I don't know. It's not fresh enough, maybe. It's good though. Don't get me wrong. I totally recommend this book, especially if you're not a Silver Surfer fan and you don't know too much about the character. This is a sweet book. I really like it. But this cover is just amazing to me. This was my cover of the week for sure. With Silver Surfer's board, you know, being taken over by the Carnage symbiote, which, you know, you guys know I like Carnage. Yeah, sweet book. Definitely gonna keep pulling it. I was a little on the fence after issue number 2, but this one put me right back online, and I'm definitely gonna keep going with it. But like I said, I love this cover. This is like my first S tier cover of the week, I think, for me at least. Probably my cover of the month, to be honest. I really, really like that. All right, and now we got my top 5. So I guess it wasn't 11 books. I guess it was 10 books, which is fine. I know I read a couple digital, so. All right, my number 5, Rogue Sun, number 2. Infinitely better than issue 1, in my opinion. I did like issue 1, but this one actually just, it starts to go somewhere. Like, they start to do something with the story. There's some plot progression here. You see a little bit more of like a dark / spiritual side of New Orleans, which I really enjoy. I'm from like an hour away from New Orleans, so that's why I really wanted to see some like New Orleans vibe in here. Pretty cool stuff. Just in general, a good book. He kind of reminds me of like Batman in a way, but also, I don't know, I guess it's new for me, but he's like a total dick. I guess that's the best way to say it. He's a total dick. He's a total douchebag. And I think it's a mini series, or maybe like 12 issues or something like that. I don't think it's a complete ongoing run. It could be, but I just have a feeling that this is gonna be like the character's redemption arc. I think his name is Dylan. Well, either way, he's a total dick. But I think this little series of Rogue Sun is going to be his redemption arc. There was this one panel in here, this line. So he doesn't want anything to do with his dad, basically. His dad was the former Rogue Sun, and he's kind of trying to coach him through being Rogue Sun. But Dylan wants nothing at all to do with him. And at one point, his stepsister is around and basically tries to be like his oracle, I guess you will. And then she knows that his dad is there in ghost form helping him out, but she can't see him. It's like a Rogue Sun thing. But she asks, hey, is dad there? And then the ghost dad says, tell her I'm not here. And then Dylan says, he said to tell you that he's not here. So like total just being a dick to his dad too, I guess, at that point. And then it's just, I actually like laughed out loud. It was pretty funny. But the character development's good. There is some maybe irredeemable things that Dylan does that he needs to see some kind of punishment for. I want him punished for what he did. Because he's a dick. And he either needs like full-on, long-form redemption or just to be smacked, which I think he's going to get smacked more than his fair share in this book, to be honest with you. He's learning. So there was, I don't know if I liked the fight scene. The fight scene, I think, went on a little bit too long. And for that, the issue got a little bit lower of a score and story for me. It just took up a lot of space in the book in general. But it was good. It was good. There was just this like werewolf fight, and it was like half the book, but it was good. It was a good issue. Good follow-up to the introduction. And my number 4 issue which really surprised me, I should say, is Amazing Spider-Man number 93. And I got this Gleason variant because how could you not? If you follow any speculation stuff or key collector stuff or anything like that, how could you not pick up this book if you had the chance, right? So we got a long, awesome, beautifully drawn and colored battle between Peter and Ben in this book. If you're a Ben Reilly fan, this is a must-own comic book. I don't want to spoil too much in case people out there haven't read it yet, which, I mean, it is already the next new comic book day today. So how have you not, if you picked it up? Then again, if you haven't read it, read it, especially if you're a Ben Reilly fan. This book was awesome. I'm excited for the series. I think they're releasing their new #1 with Zeb Wells at the end of this month, April 27th, something like that, later April. But it's just a really good book. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it felt like a good conclusion that also left you wanting more, if that makes sense. And I think since it's Zeb Wells doing this issue, I have a feeling that there's gonna be more. Like almost like this particular issue, which did feel a little bit standalone, is gonna be like a preview to the next run. At least that's what I'm hoping as a Ben Reilly fan. I don't want to go too much into why this book is a big deal for Ben Reilly fans. If you know, you know. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Beautifully drawn. The characters were good. So out of the entire Amazing Spider-Man run, I only picked up 4 issues. I picked up this one, and I picked up the Queen Goblin arc, all 3 issues of that, and I have high rating on the run as a whole because of that, I think. I read a lot of other issues digitally, and I don't think any of those were quite as good as these 4, but I don't want to say I'm glad that it's over, but I'm glad that it's not a weekly Spider-Man book anymore, because I want to pick up Spider-Man books, but I wasn't going to pick it up weekly. That's a little ridiculous for me. I don't need a weekly book. Looking at you, Detective Comics, which I know they ended that, so maybe I'll pick that one up. I don't know. All right, my number 3 book, Radiant Black, number 13. Now this is where we start getting to books that I think were just absolute fantastic. Radiant Black 13 mostly dealt, I feel like, between, or with, it dealt with the relationship between, what's his name? I can't think of the, Marshall and Nathan, the 2 Rogue Black characters, former Rogue Black and current Rogue Black. It dealt with them and their relationship, and their relationships with their families and how different they are. There was no Rogue Red was not in this book. Yellow was not in this book, and Rogue Pink wasn't in this book. It was literally just Radiant Black. I see Rogue. It's Radiant. Okay, so Radiant Yellow, Radiant Red, and Radiant Pink were not in this issue. It was just Radiant Black and former Radiant Black, and kind of just developing their relationship more, which I wanted. Now that the original guy, Nathan, is out of his coma, and they're kind of just going more into life after the whole blip, I guess you could say. It was a blip for Marshall, at least, and everybody didn't know where he went, and it's just really good. I really liked it. The art was amazing. It reminded me a lot of the artwork in Rogue Sun, but it felt more finished, more complete. and obviously brighter because it's Radiant Black, and the artwork is really bright and vibrant in here. I also wanted to mention this cover is so dope. It's all pixelated. It reminds me of old arcade games. Like it just puts me right back in the mindset of Turtles in Time on the arcade. Awesome book. I love the Radiant verse. I don't really have anything else to say about that. The last few issues from that universe have just been like near comic book perfection. Radiant Black 13, Radiant Black 12 was really good. Rogue Sun 2 was really good. Supermassive, the one shot, was like blew me away. That still, I think, is probably my book of the month, most likely. All right, and then at number 2, also my surprise pick of the week, which I had a feeling it was gonna be good. Oh, you just saw it. Ooh, ooh. I had a feeling it was gonna be good, but holy crap, this artwork, insane. Darkstalkers Morrigan one-shot. I actually got this book late, and it's probably why this video didn't come until today, because I actually picked this up with some books that I picked up on New Comic Book Day today. But I had a feeling this was going to be special, so I wanted to wait. Fantastic. The artwork, insanely good. Like near perfect. The only like ding I would say on the artwork is that it lacks some originality because it's so anime stylized, so heavily rooted in anime and manga artistically, that if I have to give it, I think I gave it like a 4.6 or 4.7 out of 5, which is like near perfection, right? It was so good. And even the cover is growing on me. The more I look at it, the black and the purple mashed together, and the purple lining up with the rest of the trade dress purples. The cover looks really good. Morgan's dope. Darkstalkers is dope, and I'm hoping that we get more from Udon with these Capcom, the Capcom IPs. I love fighting games, so please feed me more. Feed me more. Story was cool. You kind of go through the ups and downs of Morrigan on her daily life, which was kind of cool. Like you see her in her role as the queen of the demon realm, which I enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, it's a good book. I don't really know completely what to say about it to help along somebody who doesn't know the Darkstalkers universe or Morrigan as characters. She's been a main character, or not a, I don't say main character. She's been a character in every Darkstalkers game, and even some other offshoots like Marvel vs. Capcom, which is probably where most people would know who she is, Morrigan from Marvel vs. Capcom. I think she was in 2 and 3. I don't think she was in the first one though. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. You just kind of go through her ups and downs of life. I do wish it was more of kind of a standalone story. There's not really a story here. It's just like, here's Morrigan, here's what she does. Next up, I got my number 1 book, my pick of the week, and that honor is going to go to Shadow War Alpha, number 1. Pretty much everything about this book was awesome. The art was great. I don't think the art, for me, wasn't as good as Darkstalkers, but the story on this was way better than Darkstalkers. I did read the couple lead-in issues to this from the Robin series. I think it was Robin 12, and then Deathstroke Inc. I think that one was number 7. So I did kind of try to get caught up a little bit because I wasn't previously reading Robin or Deathstroke. And they were good, like prologues or preludes or whatever, but they weren't necessary. Neither one of them was necessary, but this book was it was phenomenal. I don't want to spoil a whole lot of it. You see, you know, a major death, and you get some awesome character development here. There's not a whole lot of action in the book, but enough to suffice and to make it like a full-fledged comic and not just like a casual, like, expositionary kind of thing, and also not like a boring introduction. You just get a good, it's a great comic book. I highly recommend reading that to pretty much everybody. I don't think there's anybody who reads comic books who would feel like they need more out of this issue. Near comic book perfection, as I was saying before. So my top 3 was Shadow War and Darkstalkers and Radiant Black 13 were, like I said, fantastic comic books. And I think Rogue Sun and Amazing Spider-Man 93 were also, you know, really good. And if I was going to recommend 5 books from this last week, those would by far be them. I think it's a pretty big drop-off between Rogue Sun and the next book, which I think for me is probably the Silver Surfer Rebirth. Yeah, so like I said, it was a pretty good week. 5 really strong books. Other than that, I did read this one, Silver Coin Volume 1, trade paperback from Image, done by Michael Walsh, or the art is done by Michael Walsh, and then basically what we have is 5 like self-contained anthology horror stories, and they're written by each different writer writes one of them. So Michael Walsh wrote one, Chip Zdarsky wrote one, I'm not sure the other names, Thompson, Brisson, and Jeff Lemire, they all wrote an issue, and Michael Walsh did all the art for all of them. Really cool series. The Silver Coin is a great idea. I'm thinking that I'm not a huge fan of horror comics. Like, I really think so. Like, it was good and entertaining, but it just doesn't do it for me. Like, if superhero comics didn't exist, I don't think I would have picked this up or read this, because I wouldn't be into comics. This is really good, though. And I'm glad I did get this volume 1, and I'm glad I read it. Good story. I don't think I'm gonna read any more. No volume 2 for me, just because it's just not for me. Like, the first issue here was really strong, and I loved it, and it hooked me instantly. But then issue 2 through 5, well, they were all just probably as good as the first one. I knew what was going to happen, and I think maybe that's just the format of this anthology book, where they all kind of have this single connecting theme or premise. Basically, the only thing really different in each issue is everything else. Like, it's different characters, it's different times, it's different environments, but they all kind of lead to the same conclusion, I should say. It was interesting, and I'm glad to have this in my collection. Alright, so the other 2 books that I did review and read this week that were new comic books from March 30th is Captain Marvel number 37 and X-Men Unlimited Latitude number 1. Oh yeah, there's another one. I read the X-Men, what was it? X-Men, Immortal X-Men, that's what it was, Immortal X-Men number 1. All 3 of those books, I think, were dookie. Captain Marvel number 37 was probably the best of the 3. Just not for me. There's like some very annoying stuff that I'm just done hearing about in Captain Marvel number 37. The whole stereotype. I don't even want to get into it. So just stupid, annoying stereotype stuff that I feel like is probably in every issue of Captain Marvel at this point. And then X-Men Unlimited Latitude number 1, I did like more than the Immortal X-Men. and I felt like they should probably have not brought that book to print, to be honest. It's like $6, and there's probably 40 words in the whole book. So I don't know. I feel like the art is uninspired and kind of boring. It's okay. It's an action comic. It features Wolverine, so if you need Wolverine action with not very much dialogue and not very much actual story to it, you'll probably like it. It was fine. It just is not for me. Immortal X-Men is hot garbage, and I'm so glad that I didn't fall into the trap and buy that book. I love the X-Men, and I don't like the current X-Men. I don't like really much about any of it. So I'm hoping that this week changes my mind a little bit, because there's some new X-Men books and X-Men adjacent titles, some X books that I really want to read and really want them to be good. And I actually did pick up some X books from this week, and I'll probably release another video today to show you at least the books that I picked up. But all in all, it was a strong week, like I said before. And now I want to show you this other project that I was mentioning. Alright, and here we are, just like that. I am an anime character, I guess. I don't know what's going on here with my green screen thing, but here we are. Okay, so this is what I was working on, and why I haven't been around making videos for the last week, 2 weeks, something like that. I have been working on building this website. It's called BDG, bdgcomics.com. That's bdgcomics.com. And I've just been doing reviews and stuff, and just kind of working through the week building this website. So we got our homepage here where, you know, we got news and articles or whatever that I post, updates on the website, etc. And then we got a reviews page, which this is for this week's reviews. I haven't updated yet. But then we got last week's reviews. I put all my week's reviews on there. I gave them all scores. Each of these is a link you can click to see more. I got a top comics rating thing, which I haven't actually finished yet, because if you are watching this video, you probably know there's a book missing here, my number 2 pick. So that needs to get updated. But you know, you can click on all these and just kind of see reviews. So let's just click on one. I'll go with Radiant Black number 13. So little pages of reviews. I got this little sweet key over here that if you highlight it, it shows you a little key that says this says first appearance of Excel, which was the villain at the end of this issue. But yeah, I just gave, you know, there's a little text review. I give a score for the story, a score for the art, I add them, and then a score for some quality control stuff. And then I add it all together and give the whole overall book a score. You can write reviews. You can like leave a, I guess it's a message. Nobody's done it yet, so I haven't even tested it out really, to be honest. Hopefully that works. But yeah, drop in there and leave a review on one of my review pages. You're supposed to review the book. Don't review my review. But I mean, if you want to review my review, I guess you can. But it's for the book. I should have probably mentioned that where it says leave a review. It should probably say leave a review on the issue or something like that. So yeah, this is what I've been working on and why I haven't been making any videos. But we also have a forum here, which nobody has joined just yet, just me, which is fine. I posted some of my reviews on some other review sites, hoping that maybe somebody would catch it that way and hop in and grow a little community, is what I'm going for, just to grow a little comic book community. But yeah. And again, I'll say that is bdgcomics.com. Just like that, I'm back. So I'm just gonna say that was pretty much it for me today. I don't really have anything else for you. Like I said, I'm sorry that I haven't been around and not making videos. I really wanted to get the channel going and growing and releasing consistent content. So I plan on doing that in the future, and actually putting some of my videos on the website as well. Maybe that bring in some traffic, I don't know. Just kind of new at all this stuff, so trying to get it going. And that's all I have for you today. And hope to catch you around. Come visit the website, bdggibbs.com, and leave a like and subscribe. And until next time.